are getting close to the postseason.
Touchdown, easy like butter for DeAndre Cobb.
With a win today, the Ticats can inch one step closer to their first playoff game in 5 years. Standing in the way, the Riders looking to reward their fans with a home playoff game.
And the Roughriders have won it.
Ticats, Riders next. Happy Halloween, Canada, from coast to coast. We are going to Iverwin Stadium. Look at these scary guys, Schultz. Look at that. There's a young Chris Schultz right there. and we've dressed up our studio as well. Our crew is working hard. Schultz carving pumpkins.
Yep.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Is the smoke machine
a little
going
morbid,
here?
Don't you think? With a skeleton hanging
I
with
think,
a
well,
rope around
it's
his
Halloween,
neck.
Jock. It's Halloween. And we are dressed up as Dave Randorf, Jock Climbing, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz. Welcome to doubleheader Saturday in week number 18. Got an afternoon game and a game later tonight, BC and Calgary. But first, boys, Saskatchewan and Hamilton. The Riders are coming off back-to-back overtime games. First time that has happened in the league since 1999. Great games, but their head coach, Ken Miller, says, you know, I'd rather win by 50. It's been a little hard on him. The Ticats are trying to get back into the playoffs for the first time on a host of playoff games since 2001. Here is the up-to-date playoff standings in the crossover standings as they sit right now. The only one of these four teams that has already played this week is Edmonton. They got 2 points in their victory against Toronto at home last night. Remember, if BC or Edmonton crosses over, they have to have a better record than either Hamilton or Winnipeg, the third place team in the East. So basically what we know right now, Jock, is that Edmonton is very much alive to cross over, and that Hamilton and Winnipeg next week, head-to-head, will decide second place in a home playoff date.
Yeah, that's sort of interesting. This weekend is actually immaterial as far as who's going to finish second, because we know that will be decided next week. What's also interesting to me is that we're in a situation where all the teams that are looking to cross over are actually, they control their own destiny. And oftentimes this time of year, you're counting on somebody losing a game. No, these teams just need to make sure they win out, and they're in.
Jocko, two aspects about football for the Riders. I will be impressed if they win this game. Those two overtime games, the one they tied and the one they won, that is draining. And they're playing Kevin Glenn, a quarterback that has yet to throw an interception in his 2 starts. If they win this one, Matty, hey, hats off.
And Schultz, I think they're going up against the most difficult team to play in the West in Saskatchewan, probably the team to beat, in my opinion, because of the resiliency. At this time of the year, you're starting to get deep in your bullpen, and I see Saskatchewan been dealing with that all season long. And I look at this football team as the team to beat in the West because they know that they got people that can step up. And to me, this is a huge test for Hamilton.
You all right? You good?
I'm good.
You were missing last night.
Dude, I feel great.
You
Nice to have you back, Matty.
I'm good.
feel good. All right, Matty's back, and here are your starting quarterbacks, brought to you by Wendy's and the Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. And is there a hotter quarterback in the league right now than Darian Durant? Well, how about Kevin Glenn? 800 yards passing in his last 2 games, over 800 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he's been sacked exactly 0 times. We're expecting a scary, scary afternoon, folks. It is the Ticats hosting the Saskatchewan Roughriders. This is the CFL on TSN. Pamela Yee of Saskatoon, you could win a 2009 Nissan Rogue SL if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in today's game, thanks to Safeway's touchdown to win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned, you could win $1 million. All right, let's take it to Hamilton, Iverwin Stadium. Your steady commentators, Rod Black and Dwayne Ford.
Thank you very much, Dave Randorf and company. Happy Halloween, Canada. TSN, exclusive broadcaster of the CFL, proud home of the Grey Cup. Not sure whose hand that was. Welcome to Iverwin Stadium. It is a gusty, gusty day. Wind is going to be a huge factor in this game, even though that flag doesn't show it. Believe me, it is blowing. 9 degrees Celsius. Darian Durant, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Gearing up, getting ready. Hamilton Tiger Cats know that their ultimate fate will be decided next week, but they know this week means a lot as well.
Well, it certainly does. For both these teams, they can really take destiny into their own hands with this week's game. Obviously, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, led by head coach Ken Miller, playing for a shot at hosting a playoff game, playing for a shot at first place. Marcel Belfoy and the Hamilton Tiger Cats looking to get second in the East. An opportunity for Hamilton to host their first playoff game since 2001.
Louis Sakota, a veteran of 5 kickoffs in the Canadian Football League, replacing the injured Jamie Borum, will kick this off. He will kick into this wind, and as you can tell already, the ball just blown right off the kicking tee. They're probably going to have to hold it. So the wind will blow from left to right on your screen. Sean Williams is back. Omar Morgan has to hold. See how far he gets this thing, and they're going to have to start again here. You and I walked in today, and actually there was a penalty flag on the far side of the field. We haven't even started play yet. Our referee today is Bud Steen. I mean, I know we kind of go on and on every time we go to Regina about the wind.
The whistle was not blown by an official. It was blown in the stands.
And where Mosaic Stadium is, and often there is a breeze there. The Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Hamilton Tiger Cats could not believe this wind when they were warming up today.
No, this is uncharacteristic for Hamilton. The running joke, of course, being that the Riders brought this with them. A little bit like a home game for the visitors.
Look at this floater. Almost came back right to them. Marquay McDaniel and Kevin Robinson making his CFL debut. Robinson's in the lineup, number 1 for Hamilton, and the Cats and Kevin Glenn. 2 terrific performances in a row for the Ticats starting quarterback.
Yeah, Kevin Glenn's experience is going to be critical for this Hamilton offense as they try to make their way to the playoffs. A former Saskatchewan Roughrider in the receiving corps. Another former Rider, Corey Grant, in for Chris Bauman this week. Tyson James continues for the injured Preche Rodriguez. The veteran offensive line has been rock solid the last couple weeks.
Little hitch and go. Arlan Bruce has really helped transform this offense along with Kevin Glenn. Let's take a look at the defense for the Saskatchewan Riders. Our starting lineups are brought to you by Nissan, fan and proud sponsor of the CFL.
The defensive line anchored by those two ends, Chick and Baggs, combined for 21 sacks this season. Little shuffling in the linebacking core. Ray Williams goes from the middle to the weak side to replace Tad Cornegay, who's moved to halfback to replace Lance Frazier, who's out with dehydration issue.
Kevin Glenn, under duress, has to let it go and is knocked to the turf. And so now Nick Setta, with the benefit of the breeze behind him, will kick this away. A quick 2 and out for Hamilton, and Glenn, the former Rough Rider, has a few words for that Saskatchewan bench.
And I would certainly suspect that Hamilton took the ball here on the opening possession, looking to get off to a quick start. They found themselves in a hole in Regina back in August with that slow start. Likely wanted an opportunity to redeem themselves here, not the start they wanted.
Huge kick. Jason Armstead is brought down to the 15-yard line by one of the special teams tackle leaders, Dylan Barker. Here comes Darian Durant, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who played a lot of overtime lately, 2 games in a row.
Yeah, Darian Durant and the Cardiac Kids. Darian Durant joined in that backfield by Wes Cates, who could be a big factor considering the wind conditions here today. The receiving core led by those 4 Canadians. Rob Bagg, leading active receiver for the Rough Riders, of course, with Weston Dressler out of the lineup. The offensive line, as always, anchored by Gene Mikowski at left tackle.
Durant, a little shuttle pass to Neil Hughes. So it'll be 2nd down, and expect again against this wind to see a lot of running. Ground game will be very important to both teams.
And that'll likely see these Hamilton linebackers be very involved. Guy overshadowed a little bit. Markeith Knowlton, fantastic numbers this season in all aspects of defensive play. Dylan Barker starts at free safety, his 2nd CFL start.
Was flinging it against the wind was Durant, so a quick 2 and out. And this is going to be right into the teeth of this wind now for the Riders to kick it away.
I kind of like this play call and this decision by Darian Durant to test out the wind a little bit, throw the ball deep at a time when everybody thinks you're going to be afraid to do it. Didn't catch the Tiger Cats off guard, however, as Chris Thompson had Rob Bagg well covered on the play.
Luka Kanji will handle the punting. Louis Sakota, who has also punted in college before, but not at the CFL level, will handle the kicks. Kanji from inside his 5-yard line. Floats it up. And dropped right there, no yards. The call, Kevin Robinson the ball. Cats will have good field position in a moment. One of the most important parts of this game, look at that, the coin actually traveled a couple of yards. It's the coin toss before the game, and with more on that, let's go down to Claude Fay.
Well, no question, Rod, the wind here will be a major factor. Crosswind, it keeps changing all the time. I had a chance to talk to both kickers before the game, Luka Kanji and Nick Seta. Nick told me that his approach to this game will be simplified by holding on to the ball longer when he's punting and trying to keep the kicks a little shorter when he's doing a place kick. On the other side, Luka Kanji said his point of lineup will have to change because of the crosswind, and we'll see which approach here works the best today, guys.
Kevin Glenn knocked down at the line of scrimmage. It will be very interesting to see how the kickers attack this. But both as well, the offense is, you really have to make some hay with the wind here.
Yeah, you really do, and that was something that bared itself the last time these two teams met. It was a different field, different time of year, but August 16th, Saskatchewan won the game because they were that much better against the wind than the Tiger Cats were.
DeAndre Cobb will be held short of the first down. So now Nick Seta will come out and attempt this field goal. Put the Cats on the board.
Kevin Glenn with that wind at his back takes a little bit different approach to what we saw from Darian Durant a few minutes ago, just with a little swing screen to his running back. DeAndre Cobb yet to challenge Saskatchewan downfield.
How windy is it here? Usually they have netting up behind the end zone. They had to take it down because it basically blew down earlier. Seta, kick is up, and right down Main Street. Hamilton on the board. 11:46 to go in the opening quarter on Halloween Day in the Hammer. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona doing it right since 1939. Nick Seta with a field goal. 3-0 Hamilton. Jason Armstead is back. And Seta sees the ball also blow off. And once again, they'll have to hold this. These are conditions in this area they're not really accustomed to. I mean, it can get gusty, but haven't seen a game like this under these conditions in this area in quite some time. At the 10. Look out here. There he goes. And to midfield and beyond, Jason Armstead with a 49-yard return.
Jason Armstead shows the Hamilton Tiger Cat fans something they would have liked to have seen a little more of when he was wearing black and gold. Well-blocked scheme by Kavis Reed's special teams unit. Jason Armstead times this perfectly, very patient. Then he sees the hole open up, accelerates, and off he goes, providing his team with great field position. That's something that's going to be huge, Rod, as long as they're going against the wind. Give the offense a short field with which to work.
Armstead now on the short side. Darian Durant. Play action is fumbled, and Hamilton has it. Garrett McIntyre recovers. Riders cough it up, and the Cats have it.
Yeah, an early Halloween treat for Garrett McIntyre as he comes off the edge. Darian Durant goes to pull the ball, clearly an option-type play between he and Wes Cates. Durant doesn't get the ball out cleanly. Ends up on the ground. Garrett McIntyre capitalizes on that opportunity.
McIntyre, a first-year Cat. DeAndre Cobb spins to the midfield stripe. DeAndre Cobb came into the game close to the 1,000-yard mark. That has been a constant theme in the Canadian Football League, the year of the running back.
Yeah, DeAndre Cobb entering the game 19 yards away from that 1,000-yard plateau. He would become the 7th 1,000-yard rusher in the CFL this season.
Wes Cates is about 150 away. We could have 8 running backs at 1,000 yards plus. Never been done before. We'll play action, and DeAndre Cobb was unable to gather it in.
The Tiger Cats tried to set up a screen to Cobb on this play. They get the offensive lineman led by Dan Goodspeed out in front of him. The receiver, Dryson James, blocks down to the inside, but the throw just off the mark.
So now Nick Seta, whose numbers are down, and that ball way up and over his head. Seta is going to try to kick it away. He does. Ball bouncing to the Saskatchewan 42-yard line. No yards will be the call as Armstead is wrapped up and brought down. But a high snap. And Nick Seta was lucky to get that football away.
Well, I'll tell you what, the long snaps are a part of the game that nobody really talks about being affected by the wind, but on punts in particular, you're talking about a ball that has to travel 14 yards. The snappers are trying to adjust and trying to gauge that wind as well. Jordan Matichuk looked like he had a little bit of trouble with that one and sailed it in trying to adjust for the wind. Remember, as long as the Cats are punting with the wind, Jordan Matichuk is snapping against the wind. Probably tried to put a little bit extra on that ball. The wind may have died down for a second, and it sailed on.
Look how hard it is even for the official to keep the football on the yard stripe before they whistle it in. Riders get it back again. 10 minutes to go, opening quarter. Quick hitter to Armstead. Makes one cut. Half the first down yardage. Former Hamilton Tiger Cat making his presence felt early here today.
Jason Armstead slowly becoming a bigger part of the offense. A guy who can help pick up a little bit of the slack with the injury to Weston Dressler. A guy who can do some things in space, who can be creative with a Jason Armstead on offense. We see the Roughriders looking to try to take advantage of his kick return skill, his speed in their offense here today.
2nd and 4, Durant in trouble, takes off, and Darian Durant fumbles again, and once again, the Tiger Cats have the football. Justin Hickman, the CFL Defensive Player of the Week, has the football. Turnover again, and the Cats have it.
Justin Hickman, Defensive Player of the Week last week after turning in 3 sacks against Toronto. Adds a fumble recovery to his tally this week. Darian Durant forced from the pocket. Pressure coming off both edges. It's Hickman and Matt Kirk who get there right at the end of this play. Darian Durant, a little hesitation as though he was going to slide. He was going to do the hook slide. Rethought it. Markeith Knowlton steps up and delivers the hit. Bad combination when you've got a guy like Markeith Knowlton, who's now caused 4 fumbles this season.
Establishing a run game now, the Tiger Cats. DeAndre Cobb moves closer to 1,000 and moves close to that first down marker.
DeAndre Cobb was pretty quiet the last time these two teams met. Not much of a factor in that football game. The Cats got in a hole early in that when they opened the game struggling against the wind. Really had a tough time getting going even until the second half of that football game. Clearly they will try to establish Cobb early here.
Here you go, Cobb! That's the first down. The last time these two teams play, what was also established was Kevin Glenn really taking stewardship of this team. Quinton Porter started the game. Kevin Glenn came in, had some success, and really since that game, this has been Kevin Glenn's ball club.
Yeah, Quinton Porter ended up injured in that football game to go along with the early struggles he had. Kevin Glenn came out in the second quarter, slow to start, but really lit things up for them in the second half.
Stalla close to the red zone. Biggest play offensively so far in this ball game.
Dave Stalla, comeback player of the year. Lined up as the wide man to the wide side of the field. He gets a cushion, so he's just going to hang. He knows he's got some space. Understands you don't necessarily have to beat anybody. You just have to have enough room. Don't run into coverage.
Heavy six.
The two veterans are on the same page, Glenn and Stalla, and they connect for a big gain.
7.5 minutes to go, opening quarter. Play action again, Glenn. And penalty markers down. Arland Bruce, an uncharacteristic drop. Ball thrown a little bit behind him, but let's see what the penalty's about. Offside, the indication for Bud Steen.
Offside. Hamilton, number 4. Penalty is declined. Second down.
So Arland Bruce, a little head start on that play. Marcel Belfay, former assistant in Saskatchewan with the Roughriders. Now the head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, trying to secure a playoff spot for this team, the first time since 2004. Second and 10, Glenn flushed out, and over the middle again, and a first down. And once again, it's the guy they call Sticky, Dave Stalla.
Classic Gary Echeverry scheme with linebackers lined up on the line of scrimmage and two defensive ends. No defensive tackles per se in this alignment. They managed to get pressure with their speed. Chick and linebacker Jarrell Freeman come off the edges. Kevin Glenn steps up to make a play. You see the poise of the veteran. Glenn under pressure.
Just outside the 10-yard line, first and 10. Looks to the end zone. Touchdown! Arland Bruce. Number 8 on the season.
Again, the recognition between veteran quarterback and veteran receiver Kevin Glenn to Arland Bruce. This ball is thrown before Bruce makes his break. But Glenn knows number 4 is going to be there. And Bruce knows that ball is on its way.
What a difference maker he has become for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Arland Bruce, who last year at Halloween time came up with a Spider-Man mask while he was a Toronto Argonaut. Now he's become Superman here for the Hamilton Tiger Cats this season.
Kevin Glenn looks to the flat to Dave Stalla. That gets covered up, but recognizes that'll create a little window for Arland Bruce. Bruce working against halfback Tad Cornegay. He's the outside man at the start of this formation. Cornegay, of course, being moved from the weak side linebacker spot to that halfback spot today due to the illness of Lance Frazier. Frazier was supposed to move over from the strong side to the weak side, replacing Eddie Davis. So they're going a little bit further down the depth chart, and that's certainly not a knock on Cornegay, who's been Mr. Versatility for this team all year, but a guy who has not had a lot of reps at that spot.
Kevin Glenn is 17th touchdown toss of the season against 5 interceptions. What a great ratio for Kevin Glenn. How about this stat, though? That Hamilton offensive line, no sacks allowed, now for the 3rd straight game. And oh, here it is. No Spider-Man anymore. He's now the president.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
71 yards to Ford.
Stu Ford bringing that back. Downfield, making the tackle was Jermaine Reed. Is 6 minutes to go, opening quarter, and the Roughriders have had all kinds of trouble hanging on to the football. 3 possessions, 2 turnovers.
I like a little sign of maturity from Arlen Bruce here. He's still going to be Arlen with the mask, but you notice he waited till he got to the sidelines this time. No flags when you're sitting on the bench.
Yeah. He's got like a little costume trunk over there. He's like Mr. Dress-Up. West Cates right side and nowhere to go. Maybe a yard and a half or 2.
Kirk with the tackle.
With Hamilton's DeAndre Cobb rapidly approaching that 1,000-yard mark. The pressure is on West Cates, who comes into today's action 858. The Riders, the only team in the CFL without a 1,000-yard rusher, potentially, presuming that Cobb will surpass that barrier today.
Throwing down, and sacked is Durant. There is a penalty marker down. Kahari Long got to Darian Durant.
Kahari Long with the sack.
Flags flew pretty much at the snap of the football.
Offside. Saskatchewan, number 6. Penalties declined. 3rd down.
Well, it has been a nightmarish start for the Roughriders here in Hamilton today.
So Kahari Long's 9th, team-leading 9th sack of the season will stand.
Robinson back for the Dakota Punch.
He benefits from a twist, a combination with Garrett McIntyre. McIntyre bumped the tackle Gene Mikowski off, and before his guard, Chris Best, could react, Kahari Long was on top of the quarterback, Durant.
Louis Sakota is back to punt this away. Again, a little floater. To the 51-yard line. 10-0 Hamilton. And a wind-assisted first quarter. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. With kick. Halloween Day in Hamilton, 10-0. The hometown Tiger Cats lead the visiting Saskatchewan Roughriders. Both teams really looking ahead to next week when they finish the regular season. A lot on the line next week, but certainly can help your cause this week as well. DeAndre Cobb is 4 yards away from 1,000 yards rushing on the season. Kevin Glenn back to pass. DeAndre Cobb really got back to the original line of scrimmage. So the penultimate game of the season this week, and then next week, this is what happens. The fight to the finish for Hamilton, Winnipeg, Edmonton. The possibility of a crossover from a Western team having a better record than the 3rd place team in the CFL East.
Ken Miller not worried about that crossover mix. For him, it's all about the top of that West Division.
2nd and 11. Glenn called his own number, but he's going nowhere. His number was answered by Stevie Baggs.
First down. 3rd down.
Kevin Glenn appeared to be working on a called draw play here. Once he takes his drop, you see the offensive line, George Hudson, the right guard, the first man downfield, getting out of that pass blocking mode. The Riders leave little room to run.
So Nick Setta is going to try to angle one here. And Jason Armstead watches it sail over his head into the end zone, where the Roughriders will give up a single point. Make the score 11-0 Hamilton. Don't forget, coming up later today, the Calgary Stampeders in BC taking on the Lions, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific time. And then we all get ready for next week. Couldn't ask for a better finish for some of these teams coming into next week, particularly for Hamilton. Saskatchewan with a win today could secure a home playoff spot for the 3rd straight year, and then still up for grabs a possibility of finishing first in the West. For Hamilton, all on the line next week against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Darian Durant, good play action. Durant takes off with it, steps out of bounds before the first down marker.
Nice execution on the play action by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Always have to respect a guy like Wes Cates in the backfield. This execution is aided by a block on the left side of your screen by the receiver, number 83, Andy Fantus. He pins the defensive end, Kahari Long, to the inside. That springs Darian Durant, allows him to break contain. Get to the sidelines for a nice 7-yard gain.
Second down, Durant. And over the head and picked off by Dylan Barker. Another turnover from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Dylan Barker's first interception. And that one was an easy one. The ball just floated right up there, intended for newcomer Chris Jones.
The kid from Saskatchewan gets one against the team he grew up watching. Darian Durant floated this one up. Jones well covered on the play to begin with. And then the football off the mark. Dylan Barker, the number 1 overall pick in the 2008 Canadian Football League draft, paying dividends for these Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Under 3 minutes now. There's that little hitch pass. And the guy who got the touchdown earlier, Arlan Bruce, held short of a first down. Dylan Barker, native of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Last year, a write-off for him. Broken leg in the preseason. We talked about Dave Stala being a comeback player of the year. How about this kid?
Well, he's been great. Already setting a Ticats record for special teams tackles in a season. That's something you love to see with a young guy working to earn his spot in the starting lineup. Sandy Beveridge's hamstring injury has created an opportunity.
Over the top. What a catch. Marquay McDaniel. And it's a first down.
I spoke to Kevin Glenn about some of his young receivers yesterday, and he mentioned Marquay McDaniel. One of the things he really likes about McDaniel is the fact that he has improved with every game he's played this season, becoming more consistent in terms of running his routes, understanding defenses, and in that case, catching the football.
5 Hamilton first downs against none. Pump fake for Glenn, again over the top, trying to come back for the football. Unable to get there is Bryson James.
Kevin Glenn gets a perspective that he hasn't had much of the last few weeks. That's on the ground looking up. He takes a shot here from Big Keith Shorligan, the second-year defensive tackle. Buries Glenn as he throws the football. Shorligan, a former Canadian wrestling champion in his high school days. Pretty nice takedown on the Ticat quarterback.
2nd and 10. Over the middle. Brought down by James Patrick. Another first down. Marquay McDaniel, who a couple of weeks ago against the Montreal Alouettes really cost his team when he dropped the football and the Alouettes took it back almost to the house. McDaniel has really had some sure hands the last few weeks.
He really has, and it's all part of that development over the course of the season. You often hear players say, you may be a rookie, but at this stage of the season, there are no rookies, and Marquay McDaniel is playing like a vet.
Takes him to the 1,000-yard mark and beyond on the season. There is a penalty marker. So not quite yet, DeAndre.
10-yard penalty will repeat first down.
So it will be first and 20. 26 seconds to go, and Jordan Matichuk working on that long snap. 26 seconds with the wind here. And you know the Saskatchewan Roughriders are licking their chops for that wind in the second quarter. Miserable start against the wind.
We'll see if the Cats take one more shot deep with the wind here.
Stella has it in first down. 2 seconds, one more chance here with the wind. Maybe take a shot at the end zone or at least a little closer.
Kevin Glenn threads the needle to Dave Stala. Just had a step on the man in coverage, Chris McKenzie. McKenzie, another guy in the starting lineup as a result of some injury issues in that Rider secondary.
One of the beauties of the Canadian Football League is that, you know, you can play in some different conditions from the summer right through until the fall, and of course the snow will soon start to fall, and that is a factor too. You've played in wind before. Management and coaching and thinking about when you get the football and how much time is left, they all go into how this game will play out today.
There are so many little things to factor in, Rod. You've got to consider, usually strategy-wise, when you have the wind at your back, you want to operate quickly. Sometimes you think about doing things like going with a no-huddle offense and so on to get as many plays in as you can with the wind. By contrast, when you work against that wind, you want to slow the game down a little bit, use up all of the play clock and so on to minimize the other team's chances. So it's not just about running and throwing.
Look at the official having to put his foot on the football to make sure it stays in place and doesn't blow away. Should be the final play of the opening quarter. Glenn will go to the end zone. James wanted a penalty interference call. He did not get one. He's right in the face of the official. Omar Morgan in the corner. Some blanket coverage. That's the first quarter. All Tiger Cats, 11-0. Back on August 16th, the score was reversed. It was 10-0 Saskatchewan, and again, a wind-assisted first quarter. Our numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always the difference being that was Regina, and this is Hamilton.
Well, there seems to be a home field advantage, regardless of the conditions. The Ticats doing well with the wind, but the big issue, Saskatchewan really struggling against the wind. Just 13 net yards, no first downs. Clearly not the way you want to run it. You want to control the football. Those 3 turnovers, they're lucky not to be down by more at this stage.
It's nice that they're having a lot of fun at our expense here. It's good. Our producer visited.
It's like having Schultze right here.
Yeah, there you are. Isn't that nice? Happy Halloween to you all. Safe trick-or-treating tonight. What about Saskatchewan, though? You get off to that slow start. Now, as much as people talk about playing against the wind, as we've seen with quarterbacks too, making the adjustment with the wind can also be troublesome.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got throws that start to sail on you and carry much more than you're used to. Your touch becomes critical.
Third down, plunge. Adam to Fraulis.
First down, Tiger Cats.
So the Tiger Cats continue to move the football here. Marcel Belfay's team flatlining a few weeks ago. Last week ended a 4-game losing streak against the Toronto Argonauts, but had played well the previous week against the Montreal Alouettes. They seem to be gaining some momentum again based on what we've seen so far today. Certainly what we've seen from this guy.
And the big challenge, though, is that there are a number of teams this season that seem to be peaking at the right time of year.
That's 1,000 yards with style.
Reds are proud. DeAndre Cobb shows that burst. Think back to the first time we talked to Marcel Belfoy about his young running back. This was the thing he said, you give him a crack, he can take it a mile. That's exactly what he does here. Great blocking. Right tackle Dan Goodspeed drives his man down to the inside. That creates the run lane. Cobb sees that hole and explodes through it.
I know it's Halloween, but people around here have been wearing those Cobb heads all season. They love this little guy, the rookie, DeAndre Cobb, who is 4th or 5th heading into the preseason on the depth chart. Number 1 right now.
Watch the right side of your screen for Dan Goodspeed. Driving his man down to the inside by not just leaning on his man and position blocking him, but by actually driving him down, pushing him to the inside. He really creates a wide enough lane for Cobb to run.
His 8th touchdown of the season. First 1,000-yard rusher in Steeltown since Troy Davis. So welcome to the club, DeAndre Cobb.
Cobb becomes number 7 on the list. Looking back at last season, just 2 1,000-yard rushers in the Canadian Football League. Joffrey Reynolds and Wes Cates.
And of course, you know, you have to have talent, obviously, but you also have to have that offensive line, and they open up a huge hole there. Look at this, pop fly to center field. Chris Zarka has it. Zarka plows his way to the 49-yard line, and now the Roughriders will have the wind. In this year of the runner, DeAndre Cobb is now a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah, Canadian Football League record. 7 guys going over 1,000 yards in the same season. One of the neat things as you look at this list is to see so many new faces on that list. First-year players, Martel Mallet, Archie Whitlock, DeAndre Cobb. A big factor in all of this is guys staying healthy.
First catch of the afternoon from Andy Fantuz. Grew up only about an hour from here in Chatham, Ontario. Andy Fantuz. Big impact, of course, in this Rough Rider lineup that now is without Weston Dressler, of course. And today we have not seen Jason Claremont in the ball game. He has the flu. He hasn't been feeling well, so that's why we've been seeing number 3, Chris Jones, line up as a receiver.
The Rough Riders seem to be this team, particularly on offense, that is always dealing with some kind of injury-related adversity. But week after week, they overcome.
Durant behind center, just passed for over 4,000 yards on the season. Another fumble here. Hamilton seems to think they have the football again.
We got a fumble.
We have no signal yet. No signal. The Cats say it's theirs. They're bringing out the yardsticks.
Of course, the Riders say it's theirs. Neither of them really have any say in this. Some trouble on the exchange between center Jeremy O'Day and quarterback Darian Durant. The ball never really got up into Durant's hands.
Even though they were wrestling underneath in the scrum for the football, it appeared that Durant was able to jump on top of it. So it's a first down, Saskatchewan.
Not exactly the way you draw up the short yardage play, but a first down is a first down.
There is a challenge flag that's been thrown by Marcel Belfoy. He wants Bud Steen to take a look at this. As we take a look from high above, and tough to see. It looks like right there Durant has it. Now he threw the flag down, and Bud's coming over to talk with him. He did pick it up immediately.
Hamilton is challenging the ruling on the field of down with contact.
That replay, though, looked like Darian Durant was able to acquire the football again.
Durant didn't need much for the first down on this play.
And being down he's down. He has the football, and then this is when the fighting began. And within the scrum,
the argument from Hamilton that the ball was out before that contact was made, but Durant certainly appears to regain possession fairly quickly here.
This all occurs with 12.5 minutes to go before halftime. Here's another look.
The ball's on the ground, but it comes forward. Durant falls on it.
The field is confirmed as first down, Saskatchewan.
Yeah, we saw the ball end up back in Durant's hands. He was already on the ground. Any player contacting him would immediately make him down by contact.
As always, a huge following for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. A lot of green in the crowd today. Into Hamilton territory. First down. Durant far side. He's knocked down. So now again trying to readjust after throwing against the wind, now throwing with the wind. And often quarterbacks will say the ball has a tendency to sail a little bit.
Darian Durant is looking out to the wide side for receiver Rob Bagg. On this play, Bagg is open. Early in that route, but the throw well behind.
Second and 10. Quick back pedal, here's the rush. Broken up in the backfield again, looking for Wes Cates, and Otis Floyd is right there.
This play is put off the rails by Darrell Adams at defensive tackle. He's the man who loops around to the left side of this defensive formation, starts from all the way inside at his tackle spot, makes contact, the end pulls his man inside. Adams forces that throw to come out early. Otis Floyd sniffs out any attempted screen to Wes Cates. Veteran middle linebacker Floyd.
Louis Sakota is back again. This is his second kick. Angles one. This will get to the end zone. Tad Cornegay was onside there, and it was a good play by McDaniel giving up the single. The Riders are on the board, but they're down 17. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Molson Canadian. This is our beer. On a spooky Saturday afternoon, Halloween in the Hammer. Right now, the Tiger Cats with an 18-1 lead with 11.5 minutes to go before halftime. Completely dominant so far.
The question in the early going was whether it was the wind that was determining that dominance. The Tiger Cats have just played better.
Oh, not that time, though. Bryson James saw that go in and out of his mitts. They had the play set up. They had the blockers there. James just forgot the football. Let's see what the throw was.
Well, and this throw did some funny things in the air.
Oh, it was way short.
Yeah, one hopper. Wobbly from the start. Kevin Glenn comes to grips with that wind. And that's a play that makes me a little nervous. Throwing the ball across the field against the wind, that can easily turn into a lateral and a loose ball.
There's the blitz now. Glenn decides to take off with it. Kevin Glenn goes forward. He fumbles the football. Saskatchewan looks like they have it, and they do. So both quarterbacks having trouble handling the football so far in this game. This time it's Kevin Glenn.
Well, this one is just a great play by Chris McKenzie, the defensive halfback. He comes on the blitz. Marquay McDaniel unable to get him down on the block, but watch the right arm of McKenzie. He's thinking strip all the way as he sees Kevin Glenn carrying the ball down low. James Patrick comes up with the recovery.
Chris McKenzie into the Saskatchewan lineup. The injury to the veteran Eddie Davis. Huge forced fumble there. Saskatchewan takes over and nowhere to romp for Wes Cates. Garrett McIntyre in on the tackle.
Once again, big number 97, Darrell Adams, getting penetration at the line of scrimmage to negatively impact upon that play for the Riders. Adams missed a lot of this season with a knee injury. The Pats happy to have him back, feeling he's their best interior defensive lineman.
2nd and 10. Durant in trouble. That was a gang sack that time.
Well, the pressure comes from a lot of different angles on this one at Darian Durant as the Ticats bring blitz. Linebackers are coming. Otis Floyd gets an arm on. Kahari Long gets in there. Jamal Johnson in on the blitz as well to get a piece of the Rider quarterback.
And that sack, the loss, they might have been able to kick a field goal with this win, but not now as the wind continues to howl here. Sakota again, you see Cornegay, who is onside on this kick, but it's angled out of bounds. It didn't matter. 9:48 to go until halftime. Cat defense roaring. Well, after that good kick by Sakota and good defensive stand by the Tiger Cats, Hamilton, however, forced with its longest field in this ballgame so far.
This is where the offense will have to earn their money against this wind. It's not necessarily about scoring, but about eating up some time on the clock and evening the field in terms of that field position battle. Obviously, that's a place where you work at a deficit all the time when you're against the wind. You feel like you always have a long field. The other team has a short one. You've got to drive and even that out.
Shakes one tackle and a couple of yards shy of the first down.
Nice job once again by the Hamilton offensive line. Getting a body on a body. George Hudson, the right guard, once again starts at first level on the double team, then works up to the linebacker. Essentially helping to pick up 2 men. Anytime you've got guys rushing for 1,000 yards, and as you mentioned, Rod, a team that has done a very good job in recent weeks protecting their quarterback. That's what allows your offense to function. It starts with those 5 guys up front.
You could see the trouble again spotting the football as the wind makes it tough to put the ball actually on the turf. They'll hold it for the center, and there's Marwan Hage. 2nd down, 3 yards. From the Hamilton 15. Cobb in the backfield with Glenn. Takes it, another cut, but he'll be held short of the first down. Marcel Belfay, I'm sure, will not hesitate. He'll bring out, well, maybe he is hesitating. They're looking at it. 3rd down and a long yard.
The field position is telling him kick the football, but that wind
3rd and a long yard
is telling him try to maintain possession. That, I'm sure, is what the internal debate was for Marcel Belfoy.
Not only the danger having to kick it into the wind, the danger of this guy right here, Jason Armstead.
Nice to suspect any consideration of taking a safety was a short consideration. Imagine kicking the ball off from your own 20-yard line.
But there he goes.
Into the wind.
Now he's looking to eat up some more time. And he finally steps out of bounds, gives up the safety. 2 more points on the board for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's 18-3.
Darian Durant, Rough Rider quarterback, over 4,000 yards now on the season, becoming the 4th Saskatchewan quarterback to surpass that milestone. And in pretty good company. Kent Austin having done it 4 times, Henry Burris, Kerry Joseph, the other guys on that list. He's really made this his team when you consider even early this season, the first month of the year, with every blip on his radar, there was some sort of quarterback controversy, but Stephen Giles really hasn't played any significant time, hasn't thrown more than 3 passes in a game since early August.
Jason Armstead made that more adventurous than it should have been. A shortish kick again against the wind, and here comes Darian Durant, who inherited the starting job this season mostly. Started a little bit last year too, but his coach says Darian Durant has become a leader.
He's done a lot to develop himself physically. He runs quicker now. He makes faster decisions now. He has a stronger arm now. And then from an intellect point of view and a vision point of view, he sees the field so much better.
That ball overthrown. Jason Armstead on a little fly pattern down the sideline. Darian Durant also inherited Kerry Joseph's old number 4, and Joseph was the starting quarterback, of course, the star in Saskatchewan. Kevin Glenn also mentored Darian Durant when he was there, so he's been an understudy, he's been an apprentice, and now he's started to gain the confidence of what a starter needs to do in order to win in the Canadian Football League. 6 receivers set. For Getzlaff. And he dropped it. Joaquin Bradley picked it up. Chris Getzlaff, former Hamilton Tiger Cat draft pick, can't come up with a football, so a quick 2 and out for the Riders.
One of the few times this year that Chris Getzlaff hasn't been able to come up with a big play when asked to do so. Runs a nice route here, gets right in that seam between the 2 defenders, Lamont Reed and Joaquin Bradley. Unable to squeeze it. Getzlaff, as you said, a former Tiger Cat, was on the practice roster here when he and Corey Holmes were traded west in exchange for Jason Armstead.
Louis Sakota kicked it out of bounds, but it was out of bounds in the air between the 20-yard lines. Looks like Marcel Belfait is going to get them to kick it again.
Illegal kick out of bounds. Saskatchewan, number 42. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 3rd down.
That's all about field position, making them kick this one over again, 10 yards back. Kick out of bounds between the 20-yard lines is what draws the flag. Can't avoid kicking it to the return man unless you're trying to pin the team deep in their own end, is essentially the essence of that rule.
There is newcomer Kevin Robinson, his first game as a Cat out of Utah State. 6th round pick of the Kansas City Chiefs. Sakota. This one is hoofed and one hops out of bounds. 35-yard line. Well, Earl Hickey presents the 4-day work week. Catch My Name is Earl Monday to Thursday at 8:30 on the Comedy Network, and take Friday off. Well, the Rider fans out. And a lot of them here in Hamilton. Not a lot to cheer about in the opening half. 6.5 to go in the second quarter. High snap, dangerous. DeAndre Cobb cuts back, shakes one, and John Chick greets him. Big John Chick brings down DeAndre Cobb.
This is out of the frying pan into the fire for DeAndre Cobb. Gets into trouble on the front side of this play and tries to cut back, but John Chick stayed at home, followed the play down the line, and was right there waiting in that cutback lane for the running back. Guy who's been terrific, obviously, as a pass rusher this season with 10 sacks, but underrated against the run.
Crossing pattern, Marquay McDaniel has the first down. And Kevin Glenn was hit hard as he delivered that football. Stevie Baggs in the backfield.
Marquay McDaniel, part of a 5-receiver set, coming out to the left side of the field. Creates perhaps some confusion in coverage. And that brief hesitation is just enough to create a window for Kevin Glenn to throw the football.
He got leveled by Stevie Baggs. Again, that O-line has not given up a sack into its third game now. Cobb left side this time. Rumbles for 7. Now, I know he hasn't been sacked, but he also can't take hits like this. The bullseye on Kevin Glenn.
It's Stevie Baggs coming from the top of your screen, left side of that defensive alignment. It's the secondary blitz. Tad Cornegay came on a secondary blitz, and that drew the tackle, Dan Goodspeed, to the outside and gave Stevie Baggs a free run to bury Glenn on the play.
2nd and 3. Cobb again follows the block. First down. What a first half for DeAndre Cobb.
Well, partner, we've talked throughout this game about how the weather dictates your strategy. Here are the Hamilton Tiger Cats doing something they didn't do into the wind against Regina. In Regina, relying on this run game and being productive on the run against the wind, eating up time, but also plays that aren't risky in these weather conditions.
And against a defense that really confounded them in Regina. They had all kinds of trouble with that very different alignment that the Saskatchewan Roughriders implement.
Defensive coordinator Gary Echeverry, a guy who's been known throughout his CFL coaching career for his unique style. His basic philosophy is that it's all about confusing the quarterback, making things difficult for him to make his reads and get rid of the football. And to do so, he gives a lot of looks that aren't predictable for offensive personnel.
Well, let's hear it from the horse's mouth. The quarterback, Kevin Glenn. What about Gary Echeverry's defense?
Me and Etch are, good friends. We talk, and I have a real big respect, respect for him and what he does. And like I say, he tries to confuse the quarterback. And sometimes you watch film and you say to yourself, like I said, what is he doing? He is confusing whoever it is behind the center.
What do you think personally of this defense and all the motion they use? And I know the word unorthodox has been used at times, but it has been at times very, very successful.
Yeah, it certainly has. And the basic philosophy of it makes a lot of sense. The Canadian Football League, it's all about making life difficult for the quarterback, finding ways to get pressure on him, make it tough for him to pick you apart. It is that high risk, high reward thing, though, that when you start doing, I don't want to say things that are unsound, but things that are a bit of a gamble in terms of positioning players. Sometimes teams are able to take advantage of that. So it's thought out. With any defense, it has its strengths and its weaknesses, but absolutely in the basic foundation of it, the concept of it, it makes sense.
2nd down now. Glenn throws and open is Dean Stella for another another first down. With the wind, against the wind, it doesn't matter. The Cats are moving the football today. We'll have to see how DeAndre Cobb leaving the game affects their offense right now. We'll get a report on his injury in a few moments. 3-minute warning on the field. Cats moving the ball. 18-3 Hamilton. Well, any concern about DeAndre Cobb is allayed. It looks like he's okay. And had a bit of a turf burn. Let's take a look at the play.
Cobb gets held up by the penetration of the nose tackle. Keith Sholigan on the play. Just ends up under a lot of beef in Sholigan and Marcus Adams on the tackle. They check out that left shoulder a little bit. Cobb emerged smiling after the meeting with the medical people.
First down. John Williams carries the mail this time.
And after seeing DeAndre Cobb go out on the previous play, a little scare for Ticat fans. Arlen Bruce got his legs rolled up on. He was blocking downfield. The ball carrier, Williams, was tackled into the back of Bruce's legs. He was slow to get up on the play.
Second down and 5. Williams again. Barrels for a first down. Former BC Lion and Argonaut. Former 4th-round pick. Comes by his talent naturally.
Well, he does. His father, also a former CFLer. John Williams, a guy who's proven himself throughout his career as a valuable depth player, a Canadian guy who can step in at that running back position and be productive. Stepped in for a few plays there for DeAndre Cobb. Number 14, the 1,000-yard rusher, is back in the game. Williams returns to his fullback / tight end position.
4 receivers to the right of Glenn. Gives it to Cobb away. Head down, going forward on first down into the red zone. Under 2 minutes before halftime.
Give them 4 on the run, 2nd and 6, Tiger Cats.
We talked earlier about the start of this season and DeAndre Cobb not just entering training camp, but entering the regular season on the depth chart behind Terry Colley, Trey Smith at that tailback position. Well, those two guys both went down in the opening game of the season. Week 2, Cobb had to step into the starting lineup from the practice roster. A monster game against BC, and he hasn't looked back since.
For another first down to Marquay McDaniel. And with a minute and a half, a chance to also eat up the clock a little more against this wind. And they could stay on the ground if they want.
Marquay McDaniel, that 5-receiver set, is the middleman here. He just runs a quick slant to the inside. A couple routes go to the outside to clear things out for him a bit. He comes underneath, catching the ball in front of Chris McKenzie.
Kevin Glenn hasn't thrown a ball farther than maybe 8 or 9 yards against the wind. 11th play of this drive. Slicing and dicing the Riders. DeAndre Cobb in trouble here and is brought down. Stop there at the 7-yard line. We'll set up second down. And now you likely have to put it in the air.
This play is made by John Chick, number 97, towards the top of your screen. He gets on the outside shoulder pad of Dan Goodspeed. Spoils his leverage, prevents DeAndre Cobb from getting to the outside. Once again, John Chick, the great pass rusher, recognizing the importance of defending the run as well and doing it very effectively.
12th play of the drive. Glenn. And what a play there. Sean Lucas. McDaniel stopped at the 2-yard line. Sean Lucas saved a touchdown. And the crowd wants them to go for it, but Nick Seta is going to come out.
Yeah, in this situation, when you're the Hamilton Tiger Cats, you want to make sure, with under a minute to go in the first half, you've had a great drive against the wind, you've eaten up lots of time. You don't want to make it all for naught. You want to come out with some points on the board. There's a real good chance you're going to need them in the second half against the comeback kids from Saskatchewan.
This is from a very funky angle. And a little chip shot here for Nick Seta, who's going to let the clock tick down. And it looks like they will take the penalty, move it back a little further.
Timeout.
Well, they'll take a timeout.
In just 36 seconds,
Saskatchewan, of course, I would think, would decline the penalty.
Timer.
So it's not going to matter. Seta's going to have to kick it from here.
Yeah, and this was
7 seconds on the clock.
a situation where the Ticats were just looking to run some more time off the clock and limit how long Saskatchewan, how much of an opportunity they would have following the kickoff. But a drive where they have already eaten up 6 minutes and 2 seconds.
That was the MO against the wind. Try to do that. That's what they've done. They've played a very complete first half of football. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, with the exception of the one fumble by Kevin Glenn. 34 seconds to go. They have a 21-3 lead. Trying to put the pressure on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tomorrow in Montreal. Don't forget our Halloween foursome. Rona at the half coming up. No, yes.
That is frightening.
Hey. Guys who don't even have to wear masks. Studio looked good there today. You see all this stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's all stuff from Schultz's closet.
Saw Mill Stiegel here today on the sideline. Of course, Mill used to catch passes from Kevin Glenn and that guy, Kahari Jones. Getting a chance to visit with a couple of old buddies today. So a lot of adjustments coming up for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they head into the second half. One hopper to Armstead. Finds the edge. And Jason Armstead pushed out of bounds, and he knows about the close confines here. I would say number one adjustment for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, get the O going.
Yeah, absolutely. The number one thing is protecting the football. They got themselves in a hole in the first quarter with 3 turnovers in the opening 15 minutes. But 17 yards in net offense thus far in the first half. Bit of a Halloween nightmare for Ken Miller's group.
They have the wind in their backs here. And a chance to put 3 plays together to get to the scoring position. Did something there that he hasn't done much of this season. And there's a penalty flag afterwards. And this might be against Hamilton. It is.
Objectionable conduct. Hamilton, number 28. Throwing the ball at another player.
Jamal Johnson, you saw Rob Bagg get the football in the head afterwards. That was courtesy of Jamal Johnson. And that was a bit of a brain cramp here. Last thing you want to do for Hamilton, if you played such a complete half, is to let Saskatchewan get some momentum heading into that locker room.
15 yards hurts as well when you're trying to prevent points.
Jones trying to lay out. He can't. 19 seconds to work with.
Darian Durant took a shot on that play as Garrett McIntyre came free late to get a hit on the QB. No worse for the wear.
Durant, flush from the pocket, looks for a receiver, takes it himself, and Darian Durant immediately into field goal position with 9 seconds to go before halftime.
Well, it was the strangest play, as if nobody wanted to tackle him for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Otis Floyd was very close. The appeared to be looking for blocks coming. You see 35 looks for a block. Durant runs right by him as he does that. Chris Thompson later in the play does the same thing.
10 seconds on the clock. They reset the clock, so a chance for one shot to the end zone. Chris Jones down to the 25. So right now, obviously, Ken Miller and the Roughriders down 21-3. You would think take the points here. These could be a very important 3 points should they get it. They want to talk about it a little bit.
Timeout, Saskatchewan.
I would think that there is no hesitation to bring your field goal kicker out.
And Conji's out there already. A nicely executed drive by Darian Durant in the Saskatchewan offense.
Because even though it's an 18-point lead, 15 if you get the field goal here, the Riders have seen that you can pile up a lot of points with the wind. Get as many as you can right now at any time.
And we will, of course, officially make it official.
This will be a very makeable attempt from 33 yards for Luka Conji. How good would those extra 15 yards for that Jamal Johnson objectionable conduct penalty look from a Ticats defensive point of view right now?
Conji, and it's through the uprights. That's the final play of the first half.
Roughriders 6, and that'll do it for the first half.
Saskatchewan Roughriders down 21-6. Our Halloween trick-or-treaters, Rona at the half next.
Live at the Half is brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right since 1939.
Oh, a downright scary half of football for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Great if you're a Hamilton Tiger Cat fan. Welcome inside our CFL on TSN studios. Dave Randorf with you, Jock Climby, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz, all in our appropriate costumes.
Yes, sir.
All looking as scary as always, as we do week in, week out. It is 21-6. The Hamilton Tiger Cats playing a team that they have not beaten in the regular season in 11 games, not since 2003, and they are dominating the Riders in tough conditions, lots of wind swirling around, but give Hamilton full credit because they have something to play for here. It's to get back into the playoffs, and they're getting execution from their big-name guys.
They are. Dave, when I was a kid,
yes,
not so long ago.
Is this going to take a long time?
Were you a big kid? I was a big kid. Not so long ago. I used to go to Hamilton Ticat games, Toronto Argonaut games, back and forth. And as much as I went to see the teams play, I went to see individual players. I was attracted to seeing these guys time and time again. I think one of the key successes in terms of marketing for the Ticats is recently you see players like Kevin Glenn stepping up, throwing passes like that successfully. You see Arland Bruce with all the publicity around making catches like that successfully, and then young guys like DeAndre Cobb ripping off runs like that. When you get these players on offense, the quarterback, the receiver, the running back, and instantly you can name off their names. More than anything else, it attracts people. It did when I was a kid because I saw the individuals and the teams, and it will for Hamilton football. Nice to see those three guys making a name, but more importantly, the guys who don't have the name.
How long ago did you say that was, Chris?
A while ago. A few years.
A couple years?
Yeah. Why are you looking at? I love that.
45 years ago, Schultz used to go to see the Hamilton Tiger Cats play, and you know what, Chris, you're absolutely right. That identifying with a player, having heroes, understanding who's out there on the team, that's really important. But there are some no-name guys, Schultz. You used to be one of them, and I don't think they get enough attention. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats right now are succeeding because of their offensive line. 2.5 games, folks, without a sack. Look at the kind of separation that Glenn gets right here with his offensive line. He's got a great pocket. He's got lots of sight lines down the football field. And I love the way they're using the middle of the field. I love how they're running the dig routes. This is the easiest route to get open with as a receiver, and you need separation from the line of scrimmage. And once again, Kevin Glenn is getting that. Saskatchewan relies on the four-man rush. Hey, they're third in the league in sacks. They got chicken bags who are both double digits in sacks. They need, with four-man pressure, to get to the quarterback. Guess what? They're not getting to the quarterback today because of that offensive line. The other thing that I've noticed is that Quentin Porter, who has slightly less attempts than Kevin Glenn, has been dropped for 36 losses. Kevin Glenn only 13. So Kevin Glenn is clearly getting rid of the ball sooner, but he's also getting great protection.
Yeah, Jock, that's it. Experience. He sees it quicker, balls out, puts pressure on the defense in a hurry, But Darian Durant, as well, he's been playing in the past. How the team's rallied around him right now. He's in an uncharted waters here where, Hamilton is really forcing the issue. And I thought this was going to be a football game where it's going to be a big litmus test for the Ticats going up against a very versatile and resilient Saskatchewan team. And right here, this is on Darian Durant. His eyes are up, and he reaches and rides, and he doesn't pull it quickly enough. And Garrett McIntyre's Johnny on the spot. That's the first turnover of the ball game. And here's the second one. Markeith Knowlton, this is more Hamilton. They actually take the football away here. And this is Kahari Long. That is all pressure up front. It's a great stunt. And now this is back on Darian Durant as a quarterback. Ball should never been thrown. Dylan Barker gets the pick there. To me, Dave, it's one of those situations where it's topsy-turvy from the last time these two teams played. When was that, in August?
Middle of August, August 16th, yeah.
Saskatchewan took the halftime lead 23-0. It's 18-3 now. And then they came back and they made it a football game. I believe with the resiliency of Saskatchewan, they can make this a football game because they've been showing it all year.
21-6 is the score. Dylan Barker from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, by the way, gets his first ever career interception against the team that he grew up watching. He's got it like that. And his team is in command.
Darian Durant. Play action. Hamilton has it. Looks to the end zone. Arland Bruce. To the end zone. Touchdown. That's 1,000 yards with style.
Welcome back. Here are your halftime numbers, brought to you as always by Tim Hortons, always fresh. Jocko.
A total domination, obviously, with these numbers over here, but something that doesn't show up here is Darian Durant, very un-Darian Durant-like, 4 of 12. And, the rushing game, DeAndre Cobb with 70 yards in the first half, I think is a huge difference maker in the ballgame.
Marcel Belfait has a comfortable lead at the half. He just spoke with our Claude Fig.
Marcel Belfait, weather conditions aside, your team played a pretty solid first half. You have to be pretty pleased.
Yeah, we did a good job. On defense, when they had the win, we stopped them. We got a couple of turnovers. Defense did a great job of not letting them get anything out of it, and we did a great job managing the clock in the second quarter going into the win.
And it may be Halloween, but the only scary thing about your quarterback is that he's been scary against other defenses. Another strong start for Kevin Glenn.
Yeah, he's done a great job executing up to now. It's going to take a strong second half against this team.
Thanks, Marcel.
You're welcome.
Been all treats and no tricks so far for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Trick or treat, smell my feet. Vic Rutter,
not a chance.
Give us something good to eat.
Shell out, shell out.
Let's go.
The witches
here.
are out. Come on, you're showing your age now.
I know.
I'm your treat. I'm supposed to be. Hi, everybody. Let's update you on some matinees in the NHL. Let's start off with the Edmonton Oilers as they visit the Bruins, and we'll pick it up 1-0. Blake Wheeler with a pretty feed to Sabota, and that's it. Make the final. 2-0, Boston wins it. The Senators hosting the Thrashers in the first. It's Bogosian's point shot finds its way through the traffic to beat Leclerc. It is now Atlanta leading 2-0 as they play in the second. CIS for you. Western and Guelph. Second quarter, Michael Falls hooks up with a wide open Jesse Bellamy, 15 yards out. Western leads at 37-18 in the fourth. And right after the game, we'll update you on the CFL. Preview tomorrow's action. The NHL tonight, the Leafs, the Habs, the Red Wings, the Flames. It's all that. Lots of treats coming your way, David, right after the game.
Vic, thank you very much. At Iverwin Stadium, it's a 10-year reunion of the 1999 Grey Cup champion Hamilton Tiger Cats. Look at that, a lot of old faces from back in the day, Matty.
Oh, man.
Well, welcome back to Hamilton on Halloween Day. Ticat fans and Rider fans can get together in the stands. Let's go down now as the Roughriders trail 21-6 Claude Fag with Saskatchewan head coach Ken Miller.
Ken Miller, given the magnitude of this game for your team, you got to be a little bit disappointed with that whole first half.
Well, I am disappointed because that's not characteristic Rider football right there. We've made too many mistakes on offense, left our defense on the field way too long. We have to play with much better energy and consistency in this half.
One thing you do have working for you is a guy named Darian Durant, who's used to having comeback wins in this league. I'm sure that's what you're looking for now.
Well, we have to move the ball early in this third quarter to give us a chance.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Well, good point. right now they have to do that because they will have the wind in this third quarter, and they're going to have to do what the Hamilton Tiger Cats were able to do when they had the wind. They have a 15-point deficit.
Well, Hamilton fought back from being down by 23 in Saskatchewan that game in August. Again, very similar conditions with a strong wind that made it tough for one team working against the wind at any given time. The Riders know it's possible, and if you're watching the face of Ken Miller closely when Claude Fagg mentioned the name Darian Durant and the comeback wins, there's a little bit of a grin there. He knows.
So Saskatchewan will have the wind, and Darian Durant, not a first half to write home about by any stretch. Look at that, just 25 yards. So he has to have a boomerang second half here.
On the big part that Darian Durant would like to have back, 3 turnovers overall. He had 2 fumbles to go along with that interception in the first half. They need to do a better job of protecting the football and staying on the field.
Hamilton also ate up a large amount of the clock in that second quarter. There's the quick hitter to Rob Bagg. Bagg has some running room here, and he has a first down. Took a while before Saskatchewan got a first down in the first half. Immediately first play, and they will move the yardsticks.
The Riders, unimpressive, whether they had the wind or not in the first half. And I said it once in the second quarter, the Hamilton Tiger Cats just played better, regardless of weather.
One hopper is Darian Durant. Felt the heat. Jamal Johnson had him in his crosshairs.
Johnson with the pressure. Smith with the coverage.
Jamal Johnson is going to come from depth here, loops wide around the outside. He's got contained responsibility and was in perfect position as the Rider quarterback stepped outside his pocket to throw.
Second down and 10. Durant sends one for Jones, and he will be short of a first down, and the Riders will have to boot it away. Bo Smith on the corner. Justin Hickman came in to apply the finishing touch. Now, if you're Hamilton Tiger Cats, and I know it's a 15-point advantage, do you get a feeling maybe, too, for Marcel Belfay that there were a lot of points that they also left on the field?
Yeah, there certainly were. To consider how dominant Hamilton seemed to be in the first half of this football game, to think that it's a 2-possession ball game still. The Cats didn't necessarily drop the hammer the way they could have in the first half of this ball game.
Luca Conji, his longest this season, 49 yards. This will come from the midfield stripe, 55 yards. Conji's kick is up, and it is off the crossbar. You get nothing when you bounce it off the crossbar.
Yeah, they needed that one to be from 54.
Heavy wind. Conji got a lot of it. Just not enough. You're right. Another inch or two. And he has his longest field goal of the season. So the score remains 21-6. Hamilton scrimmages at the 25-yard line now. 4 receivers to the right. Glenn looks right. And hauled in by Marquay McDaniel.
Marquay McDaniel continues to be a favorite target of Kevin Glenn. Working as a 4-man set, part of a 4-man set to the field. Just a quick out route against McKenzie. Timing route between quarterback and receiver. Kevin Glenn gets it out there. You heard Jock Climie talk about it on at halftime. Part of why this team isn't giving up sacks is the way that Kevin Glenn gets rid of the ball.
There's another first down. Dave Stala again, Mr. Reliable. He really has become that go-to guy in second down conversion attempts.
Kevin Glenn in the shotgun, just a short drop, and out goes the football. Dave Stallam moves the chains.
Looking at a 100-yard day today. Stalla at 80. Kevin Glenn barks some signals out behind center. Hands it off to Cobb. Breaks back, shakes one, and Sean Lucas and James Patrick are able to bring him down.
Sean Lucas does a nice job staying at home on this play, and what I mean by that is he doesn't chase the play when Cobb starts off initially going to the right side of the offensive formation. He doesn't overrun it. He's there waiting when Cobb comes back. A little juke by Cobb doesn't fool the linebacker. Lucas, one of the most underrated defensive players in the Canadian Football League.
Cobb earlier joined the 1,000-yard rushing club. Glenn, pump fake, over the middle, dangerous toss. Kevin Glenn was lucky he wasn't dropped there, and so now Nick Seta will come out. It's third down, and the Tiger Cats will give the ball back to Saskatchewan. And Glenn may have hurt himself on that last toss.
Kevin Glenn does well on this play to shake off the tackle of John Chick. Chick is coming from the top of the screen.
Wow.
Comes up high on Glenn.
Looks like his non-throwing hand, his left hand, the gloved hand, which he's got the glove off now.
Yeah, he appeared to jam his fingers.
When you jam a finger, it's best that it's not on your throwing hand, but still. To lose Kevin Glenn. That ball bounces out of bounds. 10.5 to go, third quarter. Tiger Cats lead by 15. 10 years, 10 long years since the Hamilton Tiger Cats last tasted the Grey Cup win, and members of that 99 Grey Cup team on the field at halftime honored today, and one of those honorees, our good friend Mr. Danny McManus, is with Claude. Claude?
No question about it. A familiar face, of course, to TSN viewers and to Ivor Wynne Stadium faithful. Danny Mac, what kind of feelings do you get when you come back here and celebrate 10 years after winning your Grey Cup against, as you told me, Dwayne Ford and the Stampeders?
Oh, it's great to come back, especially to see the guys that you play with, see what they're doing now. But to sit around yesterday and watch the game brought back the great memories, and it's all for the fans here. That's what the guys play for, is to bring back a trophy for the fans.
You know, you talk about all the great memories of the game and all the people involved, and you cannot talk about this game without talking about the late, great Ron Lancaster.
Absolutely. He was the glue to that team. He's the one that put us all together, and his favorite saying was, be on time and play like hell. And that's the way, that attitude we took all the way through the Grey Cup in '98 when we lost it to Dwayne Ford and his Calgary Stampeders, but we were able to get that rematch in '99 and finish the deal. But Ron Lancaster is the one that stuck it all together, and that's why we were able to go to Grey Cups back to back.
All right, Danny Mac, thanks. Good seeing you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Danny Mac.
You know, D-Mac redeemed himself there by mentioning the '98 Grey Cup, because I was going to point out how Hamilton fans are now just relieved with the Andrew Cobb here to see how quickly the number 14 jersey can actually move.
Nice. There goes D-Mac. They love him around here.
Danny Mac now doing some scouting for the Tiger Cats after coaching their quarterbacks last season.
Darian Durant off on that toss to Johnny Quinn. Think about Danny McManus when you think back on his playing career. He was one of those unflappable quarterbacks. He was a guy who he rarely got sacked because he got rid of the ball so quickly. But you think about him and Darren Flutie, and especially their combination, his ability to get the ball away. Anthony Calvillo has been able to do that with the Montreal Alouettes. But Danny Mac was Chris Jones, the safety blitz coming on Darian Durant, was able to get that wobbler away, and Jones with a huge gain and a first down.
You talk about unflappable quarterbacks. How about Darian Durant on this play? Dylan Barker is coming from depth, timing up the blitz. Does a nice job redirecting as Durant goes on the roll. He throws this one pretty much on the money. A great catch by Jones, but a great throw by Durant under duress.
Far side. such a tough pass to complete in these conditions.
Well,
still 50 yards.
Well, it's a 50-yard throw, and in so many ways, throwing across the field, it's going to be, your aim is going to be affected so much more by the wind blowing lengthwise on the field. As we see the Riders go hurry up to try to make the most of the wind here in the third quarter.
Second down and 10. Durant with some time. Here's the pressure. Lets it go. It's picked up. And dropped by Marquise Norton. The ball steals. It looks like Hamilton has it. Follow the bouncing ball. Finally ends up in the claws of the Tiger Cats. But that was a ball that Darian Durant probably would love to have back right now.
No doubt about it. Durant immediately, though, at the end of this play, motioned to the officials that he believes this should be ruled incomplete. Marquise Knowlton, the man who came up with the maybe interception right in the middle of the screen.
Boy, it's going to be...
Durant has a case here.
He has a real case. I don't...
The yellow flag is down in front of the Rider bench.
Yeah, you can see he doesn't really look like he has full possession.
Wes Cates did just enough to prevent Knowlton from securing the catch.
And significant because Luka Conji well within his range. Instead of a turnover, at least they have a chance for a field goal here. So Bud Steen will go over and talk to the command center where they'll review this replay.
Saskatchewan is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass. We will review the play.
And again, it has to be conclusive.
Yeah, I can't imagine the Riders losing this challenge, though.
Keep in mind, this is in slow motion, obviously.
Even the position of Knowlton's hands, though, as he brings the ball to his body.
Never really looked like he had possession. Credit Wes Cates for getting in his grill.
Yeah, to me, that ball was out before Knowlton's feet were even on the back on the ground.
Here comes Bud Steen. The verdict is...
The ruling on the field is overturned. It's an incomplete pass. Third down, Saskatchewan.
There we go. So it will be third down. Luka Conji will come out. And instead of a turnover, a chance to put 3 more points on the board for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Conji missed from the 55. This will come from the 50.
Mr. 55.
Wide right, and bringing it to the 10-yard line. Marquay McDaniel has some room, and Winnipeg rips him down. A good return by Marquay McDaniel on the miss from Luka Conji. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by SportCheck. SportCheck. Shop online at sportcheck.ca. Well, all kinds of costumes. Hey, Arlen Bruce. Spider-Man costume returns. Boy, they hated that Spider-Man costume last year when he was in Argo. Scored a touchdown and put the Spider-Man mask on. And he did the Michael Jackson tribute earlier this year as an Argo. Today he wears the mask of Barack Obama after the touchdown. Well, with more on Kevin Glenn and when he got banged up in the hand, let's go to Claude Fake.
Yeah, guys, obviously Kevin is back in the game. The word down here from the Ticats was that he jammed the ring finger in his non-throwing hand, but as clearly as you can see, he is back out there. He shook it off, and he's good to go.
Thank you, Claude. Second down, 5 yards to go. And the Tiger Cats leading by 15. There's another first down.
The Tiger Cats have just been very precise offensively here, particularly against the wind. They line up in a cluster formation. Bruce is the outside man of the three receivers. Little stem to the outside and then comes underneath. That cluster formation creates just enough confusion as the defenders have to keep a little bit of depth to sort things out. Bruce takes advantage of that depth. To come underneath, a quick hitter from Kevin Glenn.
Much different day than it was a couple of months ago in Regina. Cobb on first down. 2 or 3 yards. 6.5 to go, and then Hamilton will have the benefit of that wind in the fourth quarter. And again, we talked about it earlier. This is one of those days you want to win a coin flip.
Well, you sure do. It's interesting that the Tiger Cats are, they didn't defer. Usually you think in terms of weather conditions like this and defer into the second half to see what you're going to do. They took the ball right off the bat and didn't worry about when they had the win.
By DeAndre Cobb.
Intended for Cobb, it's incomplete. Third down.
DeAndre Cobb, for all he's done today, here's one of the few blemishes.
Cobb starts out in motion, then loops underneath. Typically you have linebackers anticipating that that back's going to go to the flat. You hope you can get somebody over pursuing on the play. And they got him. He just didn't get the ball.
Nick Seta is at his 35-yard line. Jason Armstead near his 30. Line drive to Armstead. Trying to find the crease. Only to the 38-yard line. 5.5 to go. Third quarter. The Riders try to play comeback in Hamilton. Tomorrow, the chase for the Sprint Cup continues on TSN2 as the track heats up. Talladega for the Amp Energy 500 live coverage begins on TSN2 at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and that gentleman is a fan, will not be driving.
Oh, he's excited.
He is.
You know, the great thing about being in Hamilton for a game on Halloween is you can't really tell whether they're dressed up for Halloween or if they're just getting ready to go out for dinner. This is what I love about the fans here.
Yeah? You played here?
I did.
You live close here.
Not far. Not far. I love them. They're all nuts here.
Great place to watch a game. West Cates. Only a couple of yards. Cats have done a very good job containing West Cates so far. 5 minutes to go with the wind for the men in green. And you're right, you know, like they come like this all the time.
Exactly. This is not a Halloween costume, ladies and gentlemen.
That one I think is.
Tough to say.
Yeah. There's the screen. I think we don't have to hand out Halloween prizes. The Box J boys, they're always dressed. Oh, yeah. Durant feeling the heat again. He is trapped. And once again, it's kick time for Saskatchewan. Their offense has just been unable to get on track here today.
With the Tiger Cats bringing pressure like this with just 5 guys on the rush. Garrett McIntyre flushes Durant from the pocket. And how about Justin Hickman in pursuit? This is a guy, 3 sacks last week. You know, that brought him to 6 on the season. His sack totals don't necessarily show it, but Justin Hickman's a guy who has had a tremendous rookie season here for the Tiger Cats. He and Kahari Long, Garrett McIntyre, 3 first-year players on that defensive line have made a real impact.
Robinson returns it to the 32-yard line. Justin Hickman makes an impact again in Hamilton. Well, time now for our sack attack. Brought to you by Purelator, where business is going for every sack in today's game. Purelator donates the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. Just 2 sacks in the game, both by the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
The Cats doing their part to climb the charts, chasing teams like Saskatchewan, led by that duo, John Chick and Stevie Baggs.
Shadows creeping over now. Good thing the sun's out today. Makes it a lot easier on the fans and the players, despite the windy conditions. Glenn Whirls, quick hitter. And once again, it's Stala for the first down.
Some great defensive end duos in the Canadian Football League have emerged this season, but perhaps none more prominent than these two guys, Stevie Baggs and John Chick, combining for 21 sacks on the season, 79 tackles, 4 fumble recoveries between the two of them. Tough pair to play against.
Just over 3 minutes to go, third quarter. Glenn with time again, knocked down. And a dangerous pass again. Mike McCullough, middle linebacker for the Roughriders, knocks it down.
Well, Stevie Baggs is the guy who causes the pressure here. He's lined up tight in the inside as he rushes upfield. He starts off on the tackle, Alex Gauthier, spin move to the inside. Fortunately, the left guard, Pete Diakowski, is there to bail out his tackle. But Baggs gets just enough pressure to affect Kevin Glenn.
Riders looking for a hold here. Glenn is hit, throws one, and sandwiched downfield is Marquay McDaniel, and Kevin Glenn is down, and he is hurt.
Kevin Glenn took a big hit on that play from John Chick. Chick, the right defensive end in this alignment. A club move, uses his right arm to slap the shoulder of the tackle, Gauthier.
What a body slam here on Kevin Glenn. Again, Glenn hasn't been sacked today, but he's going to need a couple of ice bags after this game.
Credit Kevin Glenn because he saw that hit coming and made a decision he thought he had an opportunity to make that throw and put himself at risk, knowing he was going to take that hit for an opportunity to make a play.
Should be good field position again for the Roughriders as Seta will kick into the gust. His 40, and it dropped 2 yards back of where he caught the football. 2:23 to go, so that amount of time for the Roughriders to try to find the end zone. And a reminder, we'll be in Montreal tomorrow. Big game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Alouettes already know that they'll be hosting the East Final, but the Blue Bombers coming off a win over the Montreal Alouettes, a dominant win. And watching this game very closely today because they have the Hamilton Tiger Cats to end the season next week for second place. Jones again. Saskatchewan will end the season off with Calgary. That will determine that season series as well. So Riders can look ahead, so to the Tiger Cats, but right now they're looking at a day where they haven't done much offensively.
Just want to keep an eye on the right tackle here. Joel Bell just buries his man Garrett McIntyre with that block. Bell is a guy who's really solidified that right tackle position.
Bobble snap, Durant is dropped. Durant gets sacked. He was lucky to hang on to the football, though, as he had to play hot potato in the backfield.
Just that hesitation as Durant bobbles the ball. With every bobble, Jamal Johnson is closing. And he's bringing friends. Otis Floyd credited with the sack, his second of the game.
First game as a returner for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Good kick that time by Luis Dakota. A lot of turnovers by the Saskatchewan Roughriders early cost them.
Well, 3 in the first quarter, 2 fumbles by Darian Durant, threw an interception later in that quarter. The first of Dylan Barker's CFL career. And that slow start really set the tone for the day for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They've struggled with the wind, they've struggled against the wind.
And a team that's been very sharp lately, taken to overtime the last 2 weeks in a row. And now Stephen Giles, the backup. Good chance we're going to see him in the fourth quarter. Glenn into the shower now. This is a Saskatchewan Roughrider team that leads the CFL in touchdowns and rushing touchdowns and has not found the house today.
The Riders have made a lot of mistakes. We just looked at the turnovers, the issues that they have had themselves, but Hamilton defensively has done a terrific job. There's been a lot of pressure on Darian Durant when he's been in the pocket. Never really an opportunity for the Riders to get their run game going here. So much of the credit for that goes to defensive coordinator Greg Marshall.
Should be the last play, maybe one more to come. DeAndre Cobb, that's the final play of the third quarter. Hamilton Tiger Cats have the win, 15 minutes away from another win. Hamilton Tiger Cats 21, Saskatchewan 6 after 3 quarters. Our numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Well, the story remains the same. The Hamilton Tiger Cats continue to tick along and execute offensively, doing just enough. They didn't add any points in the third quarter, but they did maintain their lead. Meanwhile, Saskatchewan just spinning their wheels, a combination of their own errors and great defense from the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
It looks like we're going to see Stephen Giles in here. Ken Miller has no hesitation. If one quarterback's not performing up to par, he will put his other quarterback in, or maybe even another quarterback. It looks like we probably will see Giles in the fourth.
Yeah, it seems likely. And Darian Durant really has taken a hold of this team. He's been on a great run, so Giles hasn't played much since early August. But it's just one of those games. It's a little bit like pulling the goalie in a hockey game. You're just looking to get a bit of a spark and get something going, and and also protect the guy who's in there struggling.
And again, they got a big game as well next week. Not to put this one to bed by any stretch. But the game next week, of course, could determine a lot. And also for these Hamilton Tiger Cats and their fans, this is the final home game of the regular season. And what happens next week in Winnipeg will depend if there is another home game in the playoffs here.
Yeah, the CFL schedule makers are looking like geniuses right now. That is the last game of the entire 2009 regular season. And we've had all indications for a couple weeks and confirmation now that it'll be a meaningful one.
Arlan Bruce is brought down by Omar Morgan. Kevin Glenn, again, taking a number of hits here.
Your attendance this afternoon at Iowa Stadium.
Kevin Glenn takes this shot from linebacker Mike McCullough. Comes on a late blitz on this play. He's unblocked. Kevin Glenn's not a big guy to be taking free shots, even though that wasn't a huge hit from Mike McCullough. Still a big body hitting a little body.
Downfield for Bruce off the back of Tad Cornegay. So Seta will come out. Again, the math for the Tiger Cats gets a little complicated, and for the Blue Bombers, but we can tell you that come the playoffs, it's going to be either Hamilton and Winnipeg, or Hamilton and Edmonton, or Winnipeg and Edmonton.
That's it. You just narrowed it right down.
Well, there you go. And that's only with another week to go yet. Settle to Armstead. Reverses field. Jason Armstead is smothered. At the 26. 21-6. What's with that hand? Darian Durant looks like he's shut down for the afternoon. 8 of 20, 64 yards, and a pick. Not to mention a couple of cough-ups. And so Stephen Giles out of the bullpen, off the sideline, try to spark this team. Lots of time here still. But it's against the wind. The Riders are down 15. It's only his second reception, and he has a first down.
Andy Fantu's working in motion here. Starts off to the inside as a blocker in this rollout scheme. Bounces back out to the flat to pick up the pass from Giles.
Again stands in. Chris Getzlaff still on his feet. Big play from the Roughriders against the wind. And quickly, Stephen Giles comes in and energizes this Saskatchewan offense. Joaquin Bradley's down.
Joaquin Bradley, injured cap.
And this isn't a situation where Stephen Giles is in this ball game because the Riders have given up. They believe Giles still gives them a chance. We see on this play, big collision there between Dylan Barker and Joaquin Bradley, the two defensive backs on the play. Bradley takes a shot to the head from Barker's forearm.
Joaquin Bradley is still down. We'll step aside and come back with just over 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in Hamilton. Reminder, Calgary and BC later tonight on TSN, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. BC Lions 8-8. Stampeders tied with Saskatchewan on top of the West, 9-6-1. Joaquin Bradley in that dugout on the far sideline. Stephen Giles. 2 quick completions this time. They read it perfectly. Matt Kirk brings him down. Looked like Giles had run on his mind right from the get-go.
Yeah, quarterback draw play was called here. Giles takes his steps back to draw the defense upfield. The pass rush path that Matt Kirk was on led him right to the Rider quarterback.
4 sacks today, and 4th sack of the season from Matt Kirk. Giles. Look out. There's another. Justin Hickman. Just when the Riders were moving the football, they run into a stone wall. 5 sacks on the afternoon.
So we talked earlier in this football game about guys who were rookies at the start of the year and how they can't be playing like rookies at this stage of the season. Justin Hickman is a guy who is peaking at the right time of year. Comes around the edge, he beats the receiver who is in to block. Getzlaff hustles in there to trip up the quarterback. Giles as he goes to take off upfield. 4th sack in the last 2 games for Hickman.
See all the debris still on the field. Blowing through. Sakota. One hopper. Robinson wrestled down. Oh. Busy rocky couple weeks for Justin Hickman, but quite profitable, including being named the Defensive Player of the Week last week. An impressive performance against the Argonauts.
Yeah, Hickman had those 3 sacks and just seemed to get stronger as that football game went on. A guy who's had a terrific year. It's going to be an interesting vote here in Hamilton as the team nominees come out for the individual awards, the Outstanding Player Awards, as to whether it'll be Hickman or Marquay McDaniel who gets the nod as the Ticats' top rookie.
DeAndre Cobb up the middle.
And just to clarify, DeAndre Cobb, a lot of people, we've talked about him as a first-year player. DeAndre Cobb, because of his time spent in the NFL, doesn't qualify as a rookie. Otherwise, he'd clearly be a lock as a 1,000-yard rusher for the Ticats this season, leading all Canadian Football League running backs in pass receptions as well.
Made a difference today in this game, over 100 yards. Milestone day, gets over the 1,000-yard mark. Big touchdown as well. And then, there he is again. Dave Stalla, a little layout catch, moves the sticks.
This is a great throw from Kevin Glenn. Looked like there was some hesitation there. The defender, Sean Lucas, may have had an angle on that ball. Kevin Glenn stepped up and threw it a perfect line.
Kevin Glenn certainly hasn't thrown the ball deep at all here today. And he hasn't needed to. Right side, left side, over the middle. We've seen a lot from number 88. He's had a 100-yard game today.
These Hamilton Tiger Cats with quarterback Kevin Glenn and primarily the guys who line up in the slot back position. Stella lined up out wide on that play, but primarily a slot. And he, along with Marquay McDaniel and Arlen Bruce, have just been on fire with Kevin Glenn at quarterback.
Very close to another first down. 9 catches now for Dave Stalla. Got to think that he might be considered for Canadian of the Week next week as a CFL star. Rob Bagg got the award even when he trips. You know it's going right.
Hey, there are no style points in football.
But a yard and a little bit more away from another first down with 8 minutes to go. Win of the season. And on second down, Keith Sholigan wraps up DeAndre Cobb, and he'll be short of the first down.
Keith Sholigan picks a shoulder on his blocker. I believe it was the center Marwan Hage that he was facing on that play. Just picked a shoulder and went hard upfield. Sholigan, number 74. The middle of that Rider defense just sheds that block, comes off to make the tackle in the backfield.
Well, decision time for Marcel Belfi, and he decides to go after this. Third down, key play here. DeAndre Cobb again. Stood up by Freeman. Jarrell Freeman with the tackle, but it's another Hamilton first down.
No doubt about it. This is one of those times when everybody in the ballpark knows what's coming. Sign of a good football team is the fact that they're able to successfully execute it anyway. Pancake block on the play by Dan Goodspeed. Just buried Marcus Adams on that one.
James working against Omar Morgan. Incomplete pass. He is a tough guy to beat on the corner. Omar Morgan. Blanket coverage.
Drayson James lines up as the widest man in this formation. Just takes off on a go route, meaning he's taken off full speed down the field. Against Morgan, Kevin Glenn puts this one up. Jump ball, you show confidence in your receiver and give him a chance to make a play. The wily veteran Omar Morgan defended that one well.
Second down again. Glenn for Bruce. Jostling downfield and no penalty marker on the play on an overthrow. And so Seta will come out and try the field goal here. The big breeze at his back.
Kevin Glenn goes right back to the well with a similar play on the other side of the field. Arlen Bruce working against Donovan Alexander. Alexander right with him, step for step. Canadian defensive back, Winnipeg native Alexander. Been solid his first year as a starter here with the Riders in 09.
47-yard attempt. Set has been perfect today. And does it again. 24-6 Ticats. 5.5 left in Hamilton. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona doing it right since 1939. Well, Iverwin Stadium today has been a house of horrors for the visiting Saskatchewan Roughriders. The over-exuberant Pigskin Pete. Needs a coffee, I think.
Yeah, Pete's losing his edge.
A lot of fun here. We get some riled up. The Oski Wee Wee chant. Trying to set up a return here for Armstead. There he goes. Jason Armstead one-on-one with Nick Seta. An instant field position for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Jason Armstead has been one of the few positives for the Roughriders here today. A couple of great returns that have set his offense up with terrific field position. Nice job here again. Once again, credit Kavis Reed, but a great job as well by Nick Seta, who kind of slow plays it. He knows he's got the sideline there as a 13th defender. Kicker doesn't have to make tackles. He's just got to slow him up enough for a little bit of help to come. 55 yards on the return for Armstead.
Giles in the shotgun. Rolling right. Can't find anybody right now. Has to take off with it himself and steps out of bounds in front of his bench.
Gain of 7, 2nd and 3.
Making a good positive play when there's nothing there for Stephen Giles. Keeping the play alive. No immediate pressure from the Tiger Cats, but good coverage downfield forces Giles to run on the play.
Second and short yardage. Giles with a quick hitter to the far sideline and a one-hopper in front of Johnny Quinn.
We've seen so many of these hitch-type routes where they're throwing the ball to the sideline, throwing it sideways on the field. Again, these are the ones the quarterbacks have had the most trouble with today. So many one-hoppers. Johnny Quinn is lined up at the top of the screen, the widest receiver on this play.
Yeah, we haven't seen too many of those completed today. So it sets up a third down, and Darian Durant on the sideline, a spectator now with 4.5 left. The only real decision the Riders have is to go for it. Good second effort. It's like he might have got banged up. It's all the Roughriders need right now.
Oh yeah, Andy Fantuz paid a big price for this first down as he got absolutely drilled by Jamal Johnson as he fought for more yards. Fantuz is the number 3 receiver, third man in from the sideline. for the Roughriders. Just a little quick out. He collisions off Markeith Knowlton. But meanwhile, as he spins fighting for yardage here, Jamal Johnson's got a beat on him.
Wow.
Just planted him.
Jamal Johnson, who came into the game with 99 tackles, leading the Canadian Football League. Well over 100 after today. Andy Fantuz, the native of Chatham, Ontario, is up. Former Heck Creighton Trophy winner, star at Western.
Where?
I knew you'd say that. Had to get it in today, didn't you? Those Western alums are everywhere. Ken Miller said his team had to focus. Not on next week, the big meeting with Calgary, but this week. Derailed today by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Giles in trouble again. Steven Giles running and has another first down. How many yards did he do that? He gained 10 or 11, but he probably ran about 45 or 50.
For the Tiger Cats, as you see Justin Hickman and Otis Floyd making their way back to the defensive huddle. Both had an opportunity to make the stop in the backfield as they both had their sights set on the same target, were somewhat unaware of each other. Hickman, number 95, Floyd, 35, end up knocking each other off of the Rider quarterback, Giles.
Riders still breathing here. Giles is dropped. Another sack. Kahari Long in the face of Steven Giles. That's their 6th sack of the afternoon.
Absolutely no escape to be made here for Steven Giles. Kahari Long just got there much too quickly from his defensive end spot. He's on the left side of the screen, completely free, well executed. 3-man game, 3-man stunt on the left side of the D line.
Three-man stunt, 3-minute warning, 24-6 pass. Here's our game story brought to you by Molson Canadian. This is our beer.
And the story has been the struggles of Darian Durant and the Roughriders. 3 turnovers in the first quarter led to 14 Hamilton points. For the Ticats offensively, a positive. DeAndre Cobb over 100 yards on the game, over 1,000 on the season. And Saskatchewan just unable to get untracked in this game. Darian Durant limited to 66 passing yards before being pulled in favor of Steven Giles here in the fourth quarter.
Riders need a score, and they need it in a hurry. Second down. On the far sideline.
Well, he's going to be short of the first down, but the Riders show no signs of going to their kick team here. Bag number 6, the inside receiver in that 4-man quad set. Just a quick flat route. It's all about the touchdown for the Riders right now. No interest in attempting a field goal with less than 3 minutes to go in this ball game.
6 receivers set. Giles over the top. Wes Cates was hit after the overthrow, and the ball is turned over. With 2:41 to go, and the jubilant Tiger Town Ivor Wynne Stadium faithful. Not so happy as Ken Miller. Over in the owner's box, Bob Young. See that yellow hat there? There he is. Very good, Dwayne.
You like that?
You're getting good at that.
It's like, where's Waldo?
There he is. There's Bob.
Bob Young looking to have his team host a playoff game for the first time in his tenure as Tiger Cats owner.
It will all depend on what happens next week in Winnipeg. Cobb again. Well, what a day it's been for DeAndre Cobb.
First down, Tiger Cats.
this is a city and this is a team that has gone through some losing over the last few years. There's been a lot of suffering going on here in the win column. Even recently going through a 4-game losing streak, a playoff spot is still not assured. But this goes a long way today to solidifying a home playoff berth next week. It all depends on what happens next week. The DeAndre Cobb Show.
It's just interesting. You know, we called Wes Cates' name as he was the intended receiver on the last offensive play for the Roughriders. And to think how we barely said Wes Cates' name today, well, DeAndre Cobb has just been a monster for the Ticats.
Guys in the studio talked about it. You know, Cobb has been awfully good. Finds those holes, but how about those 5 guys up front? 3 straight games now. They have not allowed a sack. We saw Danny McManus a little earlier back in that 1999 team. That front line, I think, only allowed 7 sacks the entire season.
Yeah, and they were remarkable, and it's what is accomplished as an entire team when you talk about not allowing sacks. The offensive line has to be great, and this Tiger Cat offensive line has been very good over the last few weeks. But you also talk about, as the fellas talked about at halftime, the quarterback getting rid of the ball quickly, and everybody's job is made a little bit easier when you've got a productive run game that keeps the defense from teeing off on you for a pass rush.
The inexhaustible DeAndre Cobb.
This is what you love to see from your running back. Getting stronger and stronger as the ball game goes on. Cobb is going to start off to the right and bend this one all the way back on the cutback. And then just pure speed. He outruns Jarrell Freeman.
There might be another candidate for Offensive Player of the Week. DeAndre Cobb. Just over a minute to go. Fait accompli. The Cats are going to get win number 8. DeAndre Cobb's been a busy guy today, and he gets a lot of love from his quarterback.
He's one of those guys, when you get the ball into his hands, I mean, you become a fan. I'll say that. That's one of those things. And, you know, Kahari gets on me, quarterbacks, about, you know, carrying fakes out. And sometimes it's like when I hand the ball off to him, it was kind of one of those situations when I was in Winnipeg with Charles Roberts. You become a fan after you hand the ball off to him, and you want to see what he's going to do.
Cobb goes to the sideline. And behind center, 2nd and 5. A chance to run with the football, too, is John Williams.
John
Another
Williams.
First down.
He picks up right where DeAndre Cobb left off. John Williams showing his value. DeAndre Cobb getting that well-deserved break over on the Ticat sidelines. He's carried this football team today.
So the Hamilton Tiger Cats are just going to play this out. Showing some class here at the late going. Not putting any more points on the board. Hamilton Tiger Cats will go to 8 and 9, and you can see how the crossover works with Edmonton and their win over Toronto. Winnipeg will try to hold serve tomorrow in Montreal. We'll be there tomorrow. Saskatchewan racked up 167 yards in total offense today. DeAndre Cobb, 157. That's it. Hamilton wins. The Tiger Cats will now watch Winnipeg tomorrow and get ready for the biggest game of the season next week. So long, everybody. Sports Center next.